Kratos, the angriest, most savagely brutal character in all of video game history, and star of one of the most action-packed franchises in existence, God of War. Since 2005, God of War has taken us through its own version of Greek mythology, as Kratos slaughtered his way through sequel after sequel. But the God of War series is more than just an angry, muscular warrior tearing through his enemies. It's a Greek tragedy, a tale of a man blinded by his own strength, manipulated into committing a mistake that would haunt him for the rest of his life. A life fueled by revenge and betrayal, ultimately ending with the desire to live in peace and gaining a second chance at life. In this Untold Legends timeline series, we're going to dive into the entire God of War storyline in chronological order in a 5-part epic, concluding with God of War 2018. So be aware, there will be spoilers for the entire series ahead. Welcome to the God of War timeline Part 1. The Rise of Olympus. Let's go back in time before humanity, before the gods, before even creation itself. In the beginning, there existed only chaos, a being of nothingness, an orderless void. From within the darkness of chaos, a single spark of light exploded into all of reality and gave birth to life. Together with the newly born goddess Nyx, Chaos created the earth and an island they called the Island of Creation, where more life sprang from. From their union came their children, the Primordials, cosmic beings of immense power that eventually came to war and battled each other in a conflict that shook all of creation. The primordial Kronos was injured and massive spheres of energy ejected from his body, forming the stars of the universe. The primordial Thalassa's aquatic body exploded into the oceans of the world. One by one the primordials fell, shaping the earth, and from the blood and rage generated by the war, 3 monstrous entities came into being. The 3 Furies. Bound to no primordials, they were guardians of honor, dedicated to punishing the wicked and the treacherous, especially beings that would break their oaths. Eventually, the War of the Primordial Gods ended, and very few of them remained. Some of the survivors included Thanatos, the god of death, who became ruler of the domain of death, a purgatory that men and gods alike would fear, and Morpheus, the god of dreams, able to put mortals and gods to sleep, and imbued with the power to manipulate the dreams of others, able to control the very powers of darkness. Once the war was over, another descendant of Chaos, the primordial Gaia, self-proclaimed Mother of Earth, united with Kronos and gave birth to the Titans, a race of enormous deities that inhabited the island of creation. Over time, the Sisters of Fate, 3 entities that controlled the destinies of others, gained power and took over the island, making it their home and pushing most of the Titans out. And the Titans set out to explore the world. And in that world, they encountered small creatures called humans, mortals that had built societies of their own. The Titans ruled over the mortals and brought with them peace and prosperity. It was a golden age for humans and Titans alike. In time, the Titan Kronos began a relationship with a woman called Rhea and had several children that would grow up to become the Olympian gods. After the Olympians were born, their father Kronos received a prophecy from the Sisters of Fate that one day his children would rise up against him. And by this time, the world was becoming more crowded. So much that the island of creation had begun drifting towards the edge of the world. And in an attempt to change his prophesied fate, Kronos gifted the Steeds of Time to the Sisters of Fate, giant mechanical horses that were able to pull the island away from the edge, saving their home. But Kronos still feared the prophecy and decided to contain his children, forcing Rhea to give up the babies as he swallowed them inside his body, trapping them forever. Only one baby remained, the infant Zeus. And Rhea couldn't bear to lose any more children to the Titan, sending Zeus away on an eagle, taken far away to the safety of his grandmother Gaia, as Rhea replaced the baby with a stone covered in cloth. As Zeus grew into a strong young man on Gaia's back, he dreamed of the day that he could stand up to his father and free his siblings, and developed a deep hatred for the Titans, although their mother Gaia gave him a home. When he came of age and his powers were developed enough, Zeus confronted Kronos and freed his siblings, declaring war on all Titans. The Great War had begun. The war between the Olympians and the Titans shook the world, shaping it, as massive earthquakes caused mountains to crumble. The Titans Prometheus and Helios betrayed their own kind, joining the gods, and the Titans were led by the mighty Atlas as immensely powerful beings clashed. While the fighting raged on, Zeus forged a weapon to end the war, the Blade of Olympus. Returning to the battlefield, Zeus unleashed the power of the blade, pushing it deep into the earth and creating an enormous vortex that banished the Titans to the deepest depths of the underworld. But winning the war was not enough. Zeus had to punish the Titans for standing against the gods, chaining them deep down in the lands of Tartarus. One Titan called Aegean pledged an oath to serve Zeus, but eventually realized his mistake and broke his oath to the god. The Furies, created during the time of the War of the Primordials, knew an oath was broken, and released their rage on the traitor, refusing to kill him, and plunging him into an endless torment. The Furies tortured him and turned the insides of his body into a literal prison for other Oathbreakers, as the Titan was torn apart, kept in eternal pain. And so the gods took dominion over this new world. Zeus became their king, alongside his wife Hera. Poseidon took control of the seas. Hades became ruler of the underworld, ruling over mortal souls, and kidnapped a young woman called Persephone, forcing her to become his queen in the underworld. Helios took to the skies on his chariot, becoming god of the sun and bringing light to the world. One by one, the Olympians claimed their piece of this new Titanless realm, and ruled over the mortals with an extreme level of arrogance, so much so that the gods from other realms, including the Norse gods of the Nine Realms, saw the Olympians as prideful and pompous.
And here I thought your kind was supposed to be so enlightened, so much better than us, so much smarter.
The world of the Olympians consisted of a massive upper world, a flat world that contained their seat of power, Mount Olympus, and the human continents down below, and underneath those was the underworld, the infinite chasm that Hades ruled, which contained the souls of the dead, and even deeper still, the land of Tartarus, where evil souls were banished and tortured, and the Titans were imprisoned. And to hold up the entire world, and keep it from collapsing, an enormous pillar was constructed in Hades, called the Pillar of the World. But the after effects of two major wars still lingered, and Zeus had to bring order to the world. Much evil was created during these difficult times. Natural disasters, plagues, fear, and the remnants of the primordial chaos all needed to be locked away forever. So Zeus ordered Hephaestus, the craftsman of the gods, to build a device powerful enough to hold all of it. And using the fires of the flame of Olympus, a concentration of absolute power forged by the gods, and deadly to mortals and immortals if touched, Hephaestus forged Pandora's box, a powerful relic that can hold infinite amounts of energy. Zeus took the box and used it to absorb the remnants of chaos and all of the evils that still lingered in the world from the war with the Titans. And before Zeus closed the box, unknown to him, his daughter Athena, goddess of wisdom, hid the power of hope in the box to counteract the evils inside of it, in case it was ever opened. With order established in the world, Zeus needed to maintain it, and ensure that Pandora's box was locked away. Hephaestus had created a young girl he called Pandora, and he became so fond of her, he referred to her as his daughter, but Pandora was the key to the box he had created for Zeus. He knew the safest place to put it was inside the very heart of the flame of Olympus. But if Zeus ever needed to open it, he would need to sacrifice Pandora to the flames to reach it. Unable to handle losing his daughter to the king of the gods, Hephaestus lied to Zeus and told him the box would be kept the safest on the back of a Titan. So Zeus summoned his father Kronos, and cursed him to wander the desert forever, and ordered a human to build a massive temple on his back that held Pandora's box, forever dooming Kronos to ages of torment in the desert. With the world in order, and the gods solidly in control, humans began worshipping their new overlords, building temples and cities in their honor, such as the city of Atlantis, dedicated to the god of the seas Poseidon. And to help humans develop even further, Prometheus snuck onto Mount Olympus, and stole some of the fire he had discovered, giving it to humanity. Prometheus showed humans how to use fire to benefit society, and Zeus discovered that a Titan had stolen from the gods, becoming so enraged that he turned Prometheus into a mortal, and chained him to the hand of the Titan Typhon, unleashing an eagle to feed on him daily, only to regenerate the damage done at the end of the day so the eagle could feed again. A truly horrific punishment. With relative peace in the Greek world, the gods enjoyed their undisputed power, and Zeus would often become bored. going down to the mortal world posing as a human and becoming intimate with the inferior species, having several children, descended from the gods, numerous demigods such as the mighty Hercules. One of the women that Zeus had offspring with was the young Callisto, giving birth to a child of destiny she called Kratos. And while Kratos was a young boy, the mother and son left their small village to build a life in one of the most powerful city-states in all of Greece, the Nation of Sparta. A couple of years later, she had a second child from Zeus she named Deimos, and raised the two boys as Spartans. The Spartans were a prideful people devoted to their country, and their entire lifestyle and culture was centered around the art of war. The military society of the Spartans began grooming their children at an early age to be fierce warriors, loyal to Sparta and the king. There was no army feared in the ancient world as greatly as the Spartan army. And Callisto's sons, Kratos and Deimos, dreamed of joining their ranks as great warriors one day, and trained with each other daily. And although Kratos was slightly older and protective over his brother, he helped train his sibling like any Spartan would.
Don't let your guard down, Deimos! A Spartan warrior never lets his back hit the ground. Even in death, a Spartan stands tall for battle. You are a Spartan, are you not?
Yes, Kratos.
During this time, an oracle foretold of a prophecy. Olympus and the gods were destined to fall, destined to meet their end at the hands of a mortal, a warrior with a strange mark on his body. And Zeus instantly remembered one of his children was born with the same unusual mark, Kratos' younger brother, Deimos. Refusing to allow the prophecy to come true, Zeus ordered his son Ares, the god of war, and Athena to capture the young boy and hide him away. Together, the two sibling gods set out for Sparta with an army of Ares centaur warriors to decimate the population and find Deimos. Ares unleashed a path of destruction in Sparta and eventually found the boys. In the chaos, Ares was able to grab Deimos as Kratos looked on. Kratos loved his brother greatly and became enraged, seeing the god of war taking him away. He lunged at Ares, but a young boy stood no chance against an Olympian, and Ares knocked him away, leaving a deep scar over his right eye. Angered that a mortal would dare lift a hand against a god, Ares decided to kill Kratos, but Athena took pity on him and convinced her brother to leave the boy be. They found who they were looking for, and any more bloodshed was completely unnecessary. The gods left with Deimos, and a wounded Kratos was found by his mother, and taken back home as he fell into unconsciousness. And after awakening, he realized his mother was gone. Kratos was now alone. His family that he had loved dearly was taken from him, and he believed his mother was dead. In reality, Zeus had taken her and hidden her away in Atlantis to keep her from revealing to Kratos that he was in fact his father, concerned that the boy may attempt to avenge his brother one day. Zeus also ordered Ares to take Deimos to Thanatos in the domain of death, and commanded the primordial god to keep the boy there forever. Thanatos, being a sadistic god of death, tortured the boy, allowing him to attempt to escape multiple times, just to chain him up and keep him trapped again and again, crushing his hope. Over the years, Deimos grew into a man and realized he was trapped there forever. In his mind, Kratos had abandoned him, and fury towards his brother began building deep inside. Shortly after Deimos was taken and his mother vanished, Kratos tattooed his body in honor of his brother, with a design meant to match Deimos' unusual birthmark. He also joined the Spartan army as a young soldier and devoted his entire life to his country. Sparta and his fellow warriors were all he had left, and he excelled in every way, taking on every challenge and besting superior, more experienced warriors in tests of combat, quickly gaining the respect of the Spartan king and his captain Nikos. And Kratos left a lasting impression on Ares, watching him grow up from Mount Olympus. The god of war was becoming more power-hungry and was developing schemes of his own, knowing that one day he would need a champion. Kratos threw himself completely into every battle with his fellow Spartans, unleashing his anger and his rage with unstoppable fury, winning every conflict and becoming a well-known hero among the people of Sparta. And one day, a beautiful young woman caught his attention, called Lysandra. The countless women Kratos had taken to his bed couldn't match what he felt from this one, and soon enough, the angry, vicious warrior had fallen in love. Lysandra eventually became pregnant, and Kratos became a father to a baby girl they called Calliope. The spark of fatherhood changed him, excited to see his daughter for the first time, but something was wrong. The gods were cruel rulers, testing mortals and choosing champions to honor them, interfering with their lives. Unknown to Kratos, Ares had chosen him as his champion and made sure that Calliope was born with the plague, a disfiguring and crippling disease that had no natural cure. Under Spartan law, any babies born with ailments or considered weak were to be executed, thrown from a mountain, to ensure that Spartan society remained strong. After hearing about Calliope's condition, the Spartans came for her, and Kratos refused to give her up. But Spartan law was to be respected. Not even the king was above it. The young parents convinced the council to allow Kratos some time to find a cure, but if Kratos failed, the baby would have to die. Kratos found a local healer that told him of a mystical medicine from the gods, the ambrosia of Asclepius, in a faraway land that can heal any ailment, and the warrior set off to save his daughter. From Mount Olympus, the gods watched Kratos and argued amongst themselves whose champion was the best, manipulating others to go searching for the ambrosia also. In a twisted contest designed to force confrontations amongst mortals, the champion of Hades was the barbarian prince Ulrich, who sought the ambrosia to heal his ailing father. Poseidon had sent a sickness to the people of his champion, Artemis ensured that a hunter tribe of women gave birth to stillborn children, Helios and Hermes had their own champions going after the ambrosia. To the gods, the torment and diseases these mortals faced was simply entertainment, and Hades, refusing to allow his brother and sister to win, sent his forces up to the mortal world to get in the way of Kratos, who he was most worried about. But the determined Spartan refused to allow his daughter's death, slaying monster after monster, including a fiery bird of immense power known as the Phoenix. His captain and superior in the Spartan army, Captain Nikos, had also followed him, sent by the king to ensure that Kratos brought the ambrosia back and used it for the good of all of Sparta. And respecting Spartan law and the king's word, he agreed. Throughout their journey, Kratos and his army faced extreme challenges, not only facing the beasts of the underworld, but also the champions of the other gods, with Kratos successfully slaying each one on their quest. Even Poseidon himself became involved, sending monsters of the deep after the Spartans and destroying their ship. And even the huntresses of Artemis fought to the last against the Spartans, but even still, Kratos had succeeded in defeating their leader. As Ares watched his champion proudly from above, Hades was becoming more concerned and sent his own power down below, hurling fire down at the mortals, and an already injured Captain Nikos couldn't escape the blast and succumbed to death, as Kratos and his men gave him a proper burial. The Spartans turned to Kratos as their new leader, and he led them closer to the ambrosia, temporarily stopping to allow them a moment of rest. Secretly, the barbarian prince Ulrich had been following the Spartans, watching their every battle and learning their tactics in order to take them by surprise. Kratos and his warriors eventually found the tree that grew the ambrosia, producing fruit, and squeezed the life-saving fluid into his container. And at that moment, the champion of Helios stood against the Spartan, setting fire to the entire area and attacking him. The two men battled, but determined to save his daughter's life against all odds, Kratos stabbed the champion, sending him plunging into the waters below to his death, and claiming the ambrosia for himself. But outside, Ulrich and the barbarian horde waited for their prize, attacking the Spartans. Ulrich had also been awarded the power to control wildlife and sent vicious animals down towards his enemies, ripping them apart and wounding Kratos, stealing the ambrosia and flying away on an eagle. And Hades commanded his forces to rise up and destroy the Spartans as they helplessly fought for their lives. But Kratos yelled that not even the gods could stop him, and mounted an eagle of his own, going after Ulrich. And with no choice left, leaving his men behind to die at the hands of Hades. Catching up to Ulrich, Kratos attacked him savagely, and both men inflicted mortal wounds on each other, but discovered that being in contact with the ambrosia had given them both the temporary ability to heal. They struggled to hold on to the medicine as they plunged down towards the earth, and in a last-ditch effort, Kratos stole the power to summon wildlife from the barbarian, and commanded the eagles to tear him apart. With the ability to heal, Ulrich would be tortured until it wore off, and then he would meet a painful end. Rushing back to Sparta, Kratos arrived, just as his child was thrown from the mountain, as his wife watched in horror. Flying down on his eagle, he successfully saved her from death, and Lysandra convinced the king to allow them to use the ambrosia. Kratos gave his daughter the medicine, and as promised, she was miraculously healed of the plague. Thankful that he was given the chance to rescue her, Kratos gave the rest of the ambrosia to a grateful king and began his life as a father. But plans in Olympus were set in motion, as Hades, jealous that his brother Ares had won the contest, interfered directly, saving his champion Ulrich from death, and commanding him to destroy Kratos for for embarrassing the god of the underworld. But first, Ulrich had decided to return home and check on his sick father, but only finding tragedy, as his father had already died, and his remains were being burned. Ulrich was now the king of the barbarians and swore bloody vengeance on Kratos and the Spartans, setting off a chain of events that would have a lasting effect on the world of the gods. Join me next time for the God of War Timeline Part 2, The Ghost of Sparta, where we'll see a Kratos drunk with power and military success make a mistake that will change his life forever and send him on a path of vengeance and sorrow. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and a comment down below letting me know. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social media. You can also check out some of my other videos or click my Patreon link if you'd like to support GamerThumbTV. This is Fabian. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.